Mr. Transformers 96 here with another video review. This time we have the Star Wars The Elite Series Supreme Leader Snoke figure. So this is quite exciting. This figure is actually scheduled for release on the 5th of December for the second half of the Last Jedi Elite Series figures. They release each week at the Disney store, and yeah, so this one is scheduled for December 5th. It is obviously before December 5th when I'm posting this, and I did get a little early because I stopped in at Downtown Disney while on vacation, and they actually had this one. They had Captain Phasma as well, both of which are not out yet. So I guess if you go to the Disney parks, these are out early, which is quite cool. I haven't even ever seen him in package. To this day, I still cannot find another picture of him in package. Mine is the only one that I could find. So it is kind of neat to get it quite a bit early, actually. Going over the packaging though, larger box. I didn't actually bring another box to compare it to, but it is a longer box. It's the same size width though, it's just longer. I would imagine it's just about the same size as the Chewbacca box. You have Supreme Leader Snoke there. Because I did get this at a Disney park, it does say Disney Store, or no, sorry, it has the Disney Store logo on it, which would be everywhere. And then you have the description of the character and the Elite Series in general. So going over this figure, so I've been really cooling down on the Elite Series mainly because they're just they're fun to have. I do like the metal aspect of them. However, you can really get them a lot cheaper if you just wait. So that's what I'm planning to do with the majority of the Elite Series. This is my second The Last Jedi figure. I have a Praetorian Guard. That was the first one I picked up, and then I picked up this one. All the others I would like to get, just would like to get them on a discount. So going over Snoke here, Snoke was one that I was excited about getting because of course he is a new character. Going over his face sculpt, it's pretty good. I actually do like the face sculpt a lot. As you can see, he has like that crushed side face, which kind of looks cool. He looks, he's an interesting character. A lot of people making fun of his new look, especially with all the gold, a lot of gold member comments and everything, but he does have an interesting look. I'm very excited to see him in The Last Jedi. We've only seen a very split second shot of him in the trailers, and he does look quite cool, I think, so I am excited to see him. The head sculpt I really do like quite a bit. There's a lot of detail going on there. I did have to go through, there was a bunch on the shelves, so I was able to take my pick, and this was my favorite one. I just watch out for those eyes. Some of the eyes can be a little uneven. I'm going to do a lot of comparisons with the Black Series one. I do have that one as well. And as you can see, just looking at the two of them standing together as far as the face sculpt is concerned, there's a big difference. There's a lot more detail on the Black Series one, at least it looks like it. However, I don't like the paint on the Black Series one. They've went with like this really kind of mellow tan with like a pink, which just looks a little odd. And the Elite Series one has gone with more of a lighter white with a very light pink. So it fits better together, it melds a bit more. The Black Series one looks a little jarring. However, the detail on the Black Series one is quite good, especially at the neck section. Although you do have some great detail at the neck section of the Elite Series one too. And then his costume does look very nice. Obviously, he has the big collar section that floats up here, which I think does look quite cool. And the paint is kind of this I'd say kind of like a light mustard yellow almost, which, again, I haven't seen a good shot of him in the trailer yet, so it's hard to say exactly what his costume should be. I will say, though, that it's very different from the Black Series one. The Black Series one is very bright, and I will say in pictures and on video, the Black Series one is not, it has a much different color than it looks in person. I was very actually surprised to get this figure in person, to see that the costume itself was a really different color than what it looks like in all the pictures and videos. So it's even, in person, this is even a bigger difference, but here you have like a mustard yellow almost, and this is just a pure gold. Like this is gold, this is a really bright yellow with like gold weave throughout it, which looks very interesting. It shines a lot more. I do kind of like this color more. I would imagine that the Black Series one is more accurate. Just, comparing Elite Series and Black Series is typically more accurate. So I would imagine that that's the more accurate version out of these two. However, it's jarringly different. And then obviously, as you can see, one has used some rubber and some sculpted pieces, and then one has used cloth. Of the cloth, I do like a lot more, of course, just because it's always better to use cloth. It looks better. It has a better articulation, everything like that. It can, move out of your way. However, I do like the way that this one fits. I mean, as you can see, these look completely different. This very much looks like a bathrobe, while this one looks more like, a costume. So, Although I do like the fact that the Black Series 1 has cloth, I like the fact that the Elite Series 1 seems to fit better. I think if the Elite Series 1 had a bit brighter gold and not so much of mustard yellow, I think it would look a little bit better, and that's what would have been really improved. So I love the fact that the Black Series 1 has cloth, but I am glad that the Elite Series 1 has gone with something different so that it's more form-fitting, because although I think the cloth is better, there are benefits to having a rubber slash, sculpted costume. So I do like that to some degree. As you can see, his hands looking very old and weird, and then his legs. His costume piece really doesn't split very much. It's very hard to actually open it. Here's what you can see underneath, though. He's got like these white pants and these very much pointed shoes. The Black Series 1 has a similar design, but the pants are rolled up, and then as you can see, his slippers are very bright gold, and they've got a lot of really nice detail in there. The Elite Series 1 again goes with more of that mustard color, and there's not as much detail at all. It doesn't look as ornate as the Black Series 1 in the slightest. But again, I do like the way that the cloth hangs. I do think it looks nice. And as far as his height, he is taller than your average Elite Series figure. Let's bring out one of his guards here. He's with the Praetorian Guard. As you can see, he's quite a bit taller than him, like a solid head taller, maybe even a little more. So that's a nice scale there. However, I don't think it's actually in scale like from the movie, because the Black Series 1, who's obviously in a smaller scale, is just about the same height. I mean, the Elite Series 1 maybe comes a hair over him, so that would lead me to believe that the Elite Series 1 might be a little bit too short for the Elite Series line. I'm sure it'll fit very nicely with the Black Series, though, and it's close in the Elite Series line, but I do think that it is maybe slightly too short, but that is rather minimal. So overall, this is also, you do of course get your standard Elite Series base, looking quite good. And then his articulation is pretty limited. He's got a ball jointed head, which can look up about this far, pretty decent actually. He can look down quite nicely, and of course side to side. His head has great articulation. He's got a hinge swivel shoulders. He's got a hinge elbow, which goes a full 90 degrees, which is nice. Swivel at the wrist. As far as what the articulation is under here, I believe he has a swivel waist, but there's just really no way to manipulate it. He's got a ball jointed hip, but it's completely useless with how hard this is. You can't do anything with it. He's got a hinge knee, again useless though, and then he's got hinge swivel ankles, which is basically useless. You can't put him in any poses other than just having like hand positions. So you can have him, with his hand up like this. Like your standard, evil guy type of hand gestures and stuff. And of course, you can have him using the force a bit, maybe. I mean, that kind of does look cool, but so you can put him in some nice little stances. But other than that, you're really not going to get much out of him articulation-wise. He's very much just going to be standing. Even if you wanted to put him on the Black Series 1's throne, it's just not going to work based on his articulation, especially in the leg section. So there's not a whole lot that you can do with him. However, he does look very menacing, which I do like quite a bit. And as you can see, the paint is, although it's the mustard color, which I'm not a fan of, I do like the fact that they've kind of layered in like this darkish kind of brownish color almost into it, and it kind of highlights the sculpting in the actual costume itself. And there are some scrapes here. I've got a little metal scrape, so just be careful with these, because when you do scrape them, obviously they're metal underneath, so these scrapes will come through. As far as the metal, he is pretty heavy, especially since he's a tall figure as well. It does feel very nice. I believe that the metal pieces are the main body section, the arms, and the legs. The things that aren't metal would be the feet, the hands, the head, and then the costume. Like this section up here is all rubber, and the bottom section is all rubber as well. So, but all the rest would be that die-cast metal, which is quite nice. That's the fun of the Elite Series. I wouldn't buy the Elite Series just purely for the toys themselves based on looks and articulation. I buy them more for the novelty of having a metal figure. They feel really nice, so I do like that quite a bit. It would be cool if they do release another. They don't need to do all 3 Praetorians, but maybe just one more to give you 2 Praetorians to pose behind him rather than just buying 2 of the same Praetorians. That would be quite nice to kind of flank the Supreme Leader. I think that would be very cool. So overall, would I recommend this one over the Black Series 1? It depends what you're looking for. I think if you're just looking for a really nice kind of like just looking Snoke to just have standing there, the Elite Series 1 is almost better, just because the way that the costume hangs is a lot more natural, and the paint, I think, is a lot more realistic as well, as far as the head sculpt. Not the costume. I think the costume is not quite the right color. We'll have to wait till we see the movie, though, to know that for sure. But if you're looking for something more functional, to pose, to have sit in the throne, you know, to just have more expressive, then of course I would definitely go with the Black Series one. But both of these are cool in their own manner, which is usually the case when it comes to the Elite Series versus the Black Series. So there you go. That's my review of the Star Wars The Elite Series Supreme Leader Snoke, due for release December 5th. Let me know what you guys think of this figure, and thanks so much for watching.